I'm 34, and for as long as I can remember, I've needed a lot of reassurance and attention. I never used to see it as a flaw, just a part of who I was. I grew up in a home where affection was earned. If I did something impressive, I was praised and hugged. If I didn't, I was met with silence or cold detachment. I learned early to chase approval, and even now, that habit clings to me like a shadow. Impulse control has always been a battle. It started in my teens, small lies, sneaking around and spiraling into impulsive relationships, sex, and eventually cheating. I hate the label, but I can't deny the pattern. I've cheated in every relationship I've been in. I used to claim I wasn't built for monogamy, but that was just a shield. The truth? I was always trying to fill a hole inside me that never stayed full for long. My last relationship lasted over 7 years. I'll call him M, was the first person who ever made me feel truly safe. We met at a concert, and the first year felt like something out of a dream. He was grounded, quiet, funny in that understated way that catches you off guard. I never understood why he loved me, but he said I lit up his life. I held on to that like it was air. 2 years in, we moved in together. At 5, he proposed. We were supposed to get married this fall. I betrayed him twice. The first time was in our second year, during a rough patch. I told myself he was neglecting me and that it was justified. That was a lie, of course. The second time, that was the end of us. It wasn't a one-time thing. It lasted nearly 3 months. I met the other man, AP, during a creative workshop. It started emotionally. It always does. Then it turned physical. I thought I was covering my tracks. I wasn't. He found out when a message popped up on my iPad while I was in the shower. One of those stupid flirtatious texts. Just vague enough to spark suspicion, but clear enough to crush someone. When I came out, M was waiting. He asked me what was going on. I couldn't lie. I didn't even try. I told him everything. Every awful detail. The build-up, the first time, how often, where. I thought being honest might somehow redeem me. Maybe he'd see it as a cry for help. He didn't. He looked at me like I was something rotten he'd stepped in, and then he said something that broke me in half. That I was the rabbit hole he'd fallen down. That he gave me everything, his trust, his love, and still I needed more. That maybe it was time I stopped pretending he ever could be enough. The next week felt unreal. He didn't block me, but he also didn't speak to me. I tried everything. Texts, voice notes, even a long email laying bare my childhood. The sexual abuse I endured at the hand of my stepfathers. The pain I had never fully unpacked. I told him about my therapy, my shame, my regrets. His only response? That he didn't want to be cruel, but he couldn't unsee what he saw. And that he didn't believe this was something we could come back from. 2 days later, he moved out. The silence was unbearable. We've spoken twice since then. Both times I reached out. The first was logistical. He wanted to know when he could pick up the rest of his stuff. I was hoping it would turn into something deeper, but the call ended quickly. The second time, I begged him to let me talk. He agreed, as long as I respected his boundaries. I did my best. I told him about my therapy sessions, the running, the 12-step support group I joined. I said I wasn't calling to guilt him or win him back, just to thank him for everything and take full responsibility for the pain I caused. He listened in silence, then said something that cut me open. You've always been good at saying the right things. I just don't believe you mean them anymore. I didn't know how to respond. The call ended not long after. Since then, the texts have been minimal. He only replies if I keep it practical. The warmth is gone. It feels like I'm messaging someone I used to work with, not someone who used to wrap his arms around me every night. I'm doing the work this time. Really doing it. And it's not just the usual post-breakup spiral. Cry because I got caught or someone's mad. This feels different. I'm grieving the full truth now. Not just the loss of him, but the damage I've caused. The deep cracks I carved into someone who trusted me completely. My therapist told me something last week that won't leave me. You keep chasing love like it's medicine, but love isn't a cure. It's a cover. She's right. I made him the center of my self-worth. When I started to feel unworthy of his love, I didn't reach out. I withdrew. I buried my shame. And then I went looking for validation elsewhere, telling myself it was harmless, that M would never know. But he did, and it hollowed us out. I know now that he deserves better. Someone who doesn't need constant convincing they're lovable. Someone who doesn't create wreckage and then apologize for it after. I still love him, but maybe I'm starting to understand that loving someone isn't the same as loving them well. I've spent my life swinging between extremes, either wrapped up in a relationship or desperately craving one, either pushing myself too hard or completely shutting down. I don't know who I am without performing for someone else's approval, but I'm finally trying to find out. I don't know if I'll ever be someone who deserves another chance with M, but maybe, just maybe, I can become someone who wouldn't hurt the next person the same way. Someone whole. Someone my future children could look at without seeing a hollow shell behind the smile. There's a long road ahead of me, but this time I'm not sprinting. I'm not skipping steps. I'm just walking it, one hard, honest step at a time.